Hey, what's up? It's Singano here, talking about figuring my life out in my 30s. So, this channel is going to be dedicated to different discussion points on how I'm still figuring out what I want my career and other aspects of my life. So, I'm just sharing with you all what I'm learning. Hopefully, you learn something and I learned something in the process and just have that knowledge sharing. So, for today's video, I will be doing another book review, and this time the book is called 50 Ways to Get a Job, an Unconventional Guide to Finding Work on Your Own Terms by Dev Aujla. So this book caught my attention given the fact it says it's unconventional guide. So, okay, it's like already getting out of that structured framework. And it really focuses on people who are going to be having that non-linear career path. So for myself, I've very much have come to the conclusion that I will not be having a linear career path where I'm trying to climb the corporate ladder. So this book really caters to the other situation, that non-linear career path where you do expect yourself to be doing different types of moves that aren't specifically lateral moves. So I definitely gravitated towards that and was excited to read the book and what it had to offer and share. Like the title mentions, there are 50 different ways that it discusses. So there are different discussion points on tips, advice, exercises, even just stories for you to understand just different aspects of what's going to be relevant to you as you're navigating these different non-linear moves within your career. With the book, I must say it was really nice that it's not expecting you to finish this at a certain time frame. Just given the structure of the book, it's going to be impossible to say finish these 50 tasks in a month, because some of the exercises require you maybe to even take like a month or two to really reflect on and go into practice. So that's also a nice thing I felt about this book, is it's not pressuring you to do all these 50 things, and it's also more on your own terms of how you're gonna accomplish what you need to do. So with the book, in terms of the structure, how I mentioned, there are 8 categories, high level, and then within the 8 categories, there are subtasks involved. So with the 8 categories, there's starting, there is finding your purpose, overwhelmed, learning new skills, networking, stuck, applying for jobs, interviewing, and then happy. So within all of those, they'll have sub topics, just really able to kind of hone in on what you need to do there. So like how I mentioned earlier, it's kind of pick your own adventure. So if you want to start where you want to look at finding your purpose, maybe that's more focused for you right now. Or if you're really more determined to think about interviewing, you can start there. So it's really nice that it gives you places to start if you'd want to go on that specific topic and go from there. But for me, I just read it from beginning to end because I wanted to just get an overall idea of what the book was and just understand what's going to be important to me as I kind of hone in specifically on what I want to do. But I must say there were some standout exercises for myself, which I really gravitated towards and really found just useful for my given situation currently. So the first exercise that I really enjoyed is they have one called, not called, but basically the exercise is sit in a room for 45 minutes in silence. And so in general, I meditate. I do like to have times on my own, but I don't intentionally sit in a room where I just let my thoughts go freely for 45 minutes. In the beginning, I was wondering how this was gonna go. Would I fall asleep? All these different thoughts went through my head in terms of how I tackled this. But overall, the main purpose of the exercise that they're wanting to do, just let these ideas flow. Things maybe like you're not connecting because your day-to-day is just trying to figure things out, and just let that space be open. No judgment, no pressure. And if something does come to mind, have a pen and paper ready on hand just to write that down. So I definitely really like that exercise, and I'm trying to do that as like a part of my regular practice, just to really have that intentional time where I just let my brain go free and not be so adamant about I have to figure every XY thing out. So that's one exercise I really gravitated towards. The second one was something that I've been guilty of, is looking at job boards, um, and just like looking at different excuse me, postings and what's going to be like there. And it really calls you out to not do that, just to be aimlessly looking at job boards. The one thing it does say about job boards that's helpful if you want to really look into that is if you're trying to understand job titles that stick out to you, if that's something you want to just get more clarity on, and for a next role, career path type of way to think about the job boards. But looking at job boards and thinking about applying, they basically are like, just don't do that. You're gonna aimlessly look at these job boards. If you decide to apply for the job boards, for the most part, they have a statistic that only 3% of people actually get jobs on job boards. So it's better to like network and use other ways of networking, in terms of trying to get that job if you're really like adamant on that. So yeah, job, I think that one got me because I have been guilty of just looking at them aimlessly sometimes, but like not having any action towards it. But I'm trying to use it more strategically now in terms of understanding a potential position that calls out to me, as well, because some things you're like, what does that even mean? And you read about it and you understand maybe new skills you need to learn. So that was something that, called me out, and I was like, okay, understood. And then the last one was the idea of building up skills, understanding your skills now. So the exercise asks you to list down all the skills that you think you are good at, thinking not just even like work, but in day to day, how you navigate your life. So being able to list those out, and then ask you to think about what other people think your skills are. So that was also interesting to try to put myself in other people's shoes and what they think of myself, to kind of get my brain to another level of understanding different skills. And then the last step of that was skills that you want to learn. So I thought that was really nice in regards to understanding if I see potentially a job that catches my eye, a title, and I see a skill that I'd never learned before, I want to know more about, trying to understand what skills can be helpful for you and building that up to add to what you want to improve for yourself. So thought that was really great for me, just to list out kind of where I'm at, because I think in general for myself, I have it in my head, and my resume is like, okay, I kind of had the skills, but I don't list out everything that like I think about. I listed everything out that I could. So it was definitely helpful for me just to understand that aspect and just maybe try to connect what those skills have done for me in the past and what they could do for the future as well. But yeah, overall, I definitely liked how the book had this choose your own adventure. It connected different pieces, and there's no expectation for you to finish it within a certain time frame. I will say for myself, I first listened to the audiobook just to get it in my brain, which was kind of nice because the chapters aren't that long. It was like 4 minutes, 5 minutes for each chapter. And then I went back and went to the book, the Kindle book, of being able to see the different chapters and then the linking of different resources as well, which I found to be helpful because there are a lot of resources in that book. But one last thing to call out is that there is a website that is involved with the book called 50 Ways to Get a Job. So I will link that website to the description below. And the website just gives you a high level overview of the 50 different tips and advice that the book calls out. It's obviously not in depth as the book, but if you want to kind of get an idea of what to expect, I think it's like a great overview of what you can learn and be able to apply in your day-to-day. So yeah, that's my book review of 50 Ways to Get a Job by Dev Aujla. definitely liked the material. We'll be applying it for a while because, again, it's not meant to be a one and done, it's continuous. So, definitely recommend. And if anyone else is in that non-linear career path, would love to hear how you're navigating that, what resources you've used to kind of understand where you should go next. Yeah, I would love to hear that in the comments. So let me know.